Hello and welcome to another episode of the midierror podcast, the monthly music podcast where we talk to a wide range of people from the music world. This month I'm speaking to Bunty, who is an incredibly talented artist, musician and singer based on the south coast of England. Bunty uses a loop pedal for all of her performances. They're exceptionally live and engrossing things with instruments and textures and all sorts of incredible things. She also runs a music venue in Brighton which does community music workshop things as well. And so we sat down to talk about her career and what she's up to, and the first question I asked her was about her musical beginnings.
I suppose, right, so if I think, I mean, I have a terrible memory for starters, but there's a few sort of key things that I probably seeing like Salt and Pepper on like Top of the Pops, like blew my mind. And I mean, back then I was basically just obsessed with Top of the Pops and like Smash Hits, this magazine where you, they're doing the building again. Yeah, there was this magazine which I don't know whether you're familiar with.
Smash Hits.
Yeah,
I had an older sister.
So I collected those, and obviously they came with the lyrics. So like my earliest memories are probably, you know, like rapping along with like, you know, then Sherry or whatever on Top of the Pops, and then I suppose like a mixture of that and then like really old random like French tapes in my dad's car, and then I suppose like music from like family weddings or bar mitzvahs, which my family are like from Morocco, so that's a sort of like belly dancing music kind of thing. Yeah, so like the music you'd hear at weddings, which it's not like, you know, I haven't like geeked out over it as in I'd even know the names of it, but it's like these kind of like classic tunes that are like either in French or Arabic, or even if they're in French, it's kind of like a Moroccan French, which has got like definitely like an Arabic twist. Like those were like the the third is like my auntie's like and uncle's record collection, which was all full of like Motown. Nice. So like I guess those three things when I was really young were like what I was hearing. But in terms of like at home, we had like a record player, but it had like they had like two records. Like my parents weren't like heavily into music, even though they love music. They didn't. It's not like I came from a home where there was lots of music playing all the time or anything. It's like I'd hear music in my dad's car. He had like 3 tapes, like Charles Aznavour, some other like French dude, and like some Israeli guy. That, you know, those were like the 3 tapes we had, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think people like that in their cars, weren't they? They
had like 2 just or 3 repetitive.
Yeah, that's really cool. And those are 3 very like strong, vibrant influences for you.
Yeah,
like,
I suppose so. Yeah.
I remember the Smash Hit stuff because when you were talking about it, I remember because you said about the lyrics. You'd get the poster of like Jason Diamond or whoever with the song lyrics on the thing,
so cool.
You could like, I don't know. I remember my sister having them and. Salt and Pepper, Nana Cherry. There were some great tracks in the 90s. Particularly, was it Push It? That was such a great track.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
and like awesome I just remember like it being like for them super explicit, and like watching it with my parents and being really embarrassed while they're like pumping the floor, like get down on the floor. I remember that move particularly. Like at a certain point,
I'm really into this.
This is amazing. But also, I suppose the area that I lived in as well was. I've just remembered was right in the middle of like Notting Hill Carnival was literally in my garden. Wow. Like because we lived in these like there's like these council flats that go like from sort of like Portobello Market like along to like Westbourne Park station. These like orange flats, and like literally the carnival was like in our garden, like people would piss in our garden. Like my dad would go, like, remember my dad going up and he's like, and like, you know, like 1 year, like, you know, there was like a sound system like facing our house. Like,
wow, nice.
So I guess sound system culture massively as well.
Definitely, and
like
that sort of
grown
carnival,
up with it,
carnival
vibes. Like Notting Hill Carnival is still like it's my favourite day of the year, sort of thing.
Yeah,
like I really cherish it.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I guess the Moroccan music as well is quite like live it's like lots of acoustic instruments and it's got lots of energy in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's almost the carnival sort of spirit in that stuff as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose, especially the kind that I was exposed to, because it was like for a celebration. So I'd only really hear that sort of stuff at like a wedding or a bar mitzvah. So yeah, it was a celebration music that I was hearing, kind of thing.
Nice, yeah. And sound system culture is a great one, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, like feeling the music is important. I was talking to someone the other day about like listening to music on your phone, like just having it playing, like you're not really experiencing that music, whereas like in a sound system your guts are shaking.
Sound system is probably like the most intense form of listening to music, I'd say, that I've experienced. Although you know what, I've become terrible. Like I do listen to music off my phone sometimes. I think it's because I do quite a lot of work with teenagers, and it's kind of like rubbed off on me. Like listen to this one, like through your shitty iPhone. It's like bad. Although I have also bought this little speaker for £20, which is quite alright. So I listen to things through that as well.
That's amazing. And yeah,
I have to say I'm not that fussy actually.
Yeah, no, I'm like an audio geek, but I love your bum bag. I mentioned that earlier. It's absolutely spectacular.
It's Beksies Boutique, just to like plug Beksies Boutique, because she's incredible. She's one of these sort of artists. I mean, she does loads of different things. She's an amazing sort of fine artist as well. But she makes these bespoke bags and is really, you know, she was kind of doing this sort of thing before, I guess, festival culture got really mainstream. She's like one of the like kind of original.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and all of your stuff is so vibrant and so colourful, like your website, your live show, and the venue you have, the Rose Hill as well. It's like there's so much that goes into making it look beautiful and look fun and look like a nice environment. This is just like that personified, isn't it?
Yeah, she made it for me, so I think she knows what I like. She said she started with this doll's head because I've had like a thing for like weird dolls for ages, like just collect, because they're creepy but supposedly like fun and creepy. So like. She started with this doll's head and then built around that.
That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of kids' toys, aren't they, that are like really sinister, especially like the 70s. It's like crossing over between being a horror film.
It's unbelievable where you look at this thing and you're like, wow, they had board meetings about this and we're like, let's mass produce this thing. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to love this. Like 90% of the kids have like traumatic childhood because of this doll whose head would
spin away. But like, Joel, I've got this one that's just like this double-sided doll that someone gave me for my birthday once because they know I love sort of like creepy dolls. It's like this baby that like on one side is awake and then on the other side is sleeping, and it's got this kind of like sleep hat thing, so you can like it's just like, that is terrifying.
Really weird.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Yeah, I love all that stuff too. Cool. And what about sort of like mentors or like the beginnings of your own musical journey? When did you start picking up things and making sound?
Guess I came to it quite late. Like, bearing in mind, I wanted to be like a singer from forever. Like, that was like my dream, was to be a singer, but I was really scared to do it in front of people for a long time. I was really shy about it, and like I remember even being sort of like 16 and I'd only really like sing for like my friends kind of thing. And then I suppose around like 17, 18 would like write a few tunes with like other people, like say like my friend on guitar, and we'd written a few tunes. And it wasn't until I went and I worked in a bar where I'd like sing sort of like jazz and like sort of soul covers, because I was behind the bar, and I'd kind of like this amazing African American man who was insane guitarist. He sort of sounded like Stevie Wonder and like did things like played solos with his teeth and stuff like that. He was like a showman sort of thing. He'd get me up to do a few tunes, and I'd always get a really, like, I guess the thing that's made me pursue it beyond really wanting to do it is that I've always had a really nice reaction when I've sung, sort of thing. So I guess that's like spurred me to carry on sort of pursuing it, but didn't really pursue it until I went travelling for a year when I was like after I sort of education's like very hazy because I kind of like dropped out of things and then started them again and then but I think I was like 18 and went away for a year, and I was going to come back and study do like an art foundation, and while I was away I was doing a lot of singing, just whenever, wherever, and I was just like, I have to do music. What am I talking about? Like, I need to come back and study music instead. So I just came back and did this BTEC national diploma in sort of popular music for 2 years, and then came back, and then from then on, just kind of started writing, and that was very much like you do a bit of everything. Like you'd have to work. There was so many different genres going on in that college. Like there was kind of like the hip hop heads, the like indie kids, the kind of really R&B soul-y like singers, and then this like miscellaneous crew which I was in. Okay. But you'd have to, like, people would be put into bands and you'd have to sing. Like they'd choose you as, if you were there primarily as a vocalist, you'd have to kind of, you'd need to sing in their band, so you'd have to sing like Stone Moses or whatever.
Death metal.
Like whatever they wanted, basically.
I think those sorts of things are brilliant.
It was so good. It was so practical. It was really, really practical, and you had to do loads of performing, and like I totally shat my pants for like the first 6 months, because like literally the first day you went in, they were like, okay, choose a song, get into bands, perform it in front of everyone else, kind of thing. Drops. So it was very
Yeah, I think those things sometimes, I mean, I know when I've been at college and university, I've been doing stuff and gone, this is bollocks, I don't need to do this is not useful. But looking back on it, like all of those little experiences were really like quite formative. And, even though it seemed like there was no logical reason for doing it at the time, it was just good to be out of your comfort zone. I guess.
Exactly.
That's really,
and I guess I've always written like lyrics, sort of, for like written words. Even before I was necessarily using them for songs. So, I mean, it's quite hazy thinking how things come together, but I suppose when I first started doing Bunty was at that college. I met this guy who was a beatboxer. He still does stuff. He's called Lyrical Lips, and we would always jam together, like for ages, like just like we could go for like forever kind of thing. And people kept being like, you should start a band, like you should actually do this on stage. So we did. We had this band called Bunty versus Chickenshit. And we played for years, and then ended up going out, and then broke up, and then we split. But at the same time as we were doing stuff, I was doing stuff with this guy called Jim Black, who used to play a lot of like covers gigs around Brighton, and he used a looper for his guitar. Right. And so I ended up getting a looper just because I was intrigued by that format. And then I guess started doing these really experimental gigs. Well, because also I didn't really know how to use it properly yet, so they were like, those first gigs were pretty, and also I think it coincided with me being quite heartbroken. So these gigs were like, that I first started doing with like solo gigs, were pretty intense and quite raw.
But that must be, I mean, that's great for you in a way, because it's sort of like this, I mean, it's sort of like therapy in a way, isn't it, to just be expressing and like purging what you're feeling, putting it out there. And then great for the, like if you're an engaging singer as you are, like that must have been quite an electric thing to go and watch for people.
I hope so. I don't know. I think there was like definitely people that like would have left as well. Like it was quite like, in the beginning I was quite into like quite like droney stuff as well. I think I was doing more of I think I was doing less like singing and more like sound things with my voice. I remember really liking going like a lot. I remember really enjoying that.
I think you're in good. I mean, Brighton, you're in good company for doing stuff
it's true,
like that.
for doing whatever the fuck you want.
Because there's a guy that like screams into a pane of glass and then bites it with contact mic stuck to the glass that I've heard about. And I think you're in a good place in Brighton to be pushing the boundaries of experimental
definitely
sound.
But I felt that as soon as I moved to Brighton, because I moved to Brighton to go to uni, but didn't actually get in the first year, so I was here for a year and then went the year after to do music and visual art actually at Brighton, when there was a music and visual art course. And as soon as I moved to Brighton, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, no one cares what you do, you know, like you can just do whatever you want.
You can do what you want. I think that's the cool thing about when I first came to Brighton. My first impressions of it were that everyone was very cool indeed, and I felt like an absolute like boring bastard because everyone just had so much life and energy and they're all really cool. But I mean, eventually you sort of embrace that and you realise that no one really cares about anyone who's on the street who's dressed in a weird way.
This is the thing that I was like struck by.
Be whatever you want to be here.
And also I really liked the fact that like because like sometimes I feel like I like being really like, you know, playing around and being kind of like quite loud and stupid like in public, but I don't actually, it's not actually for attention. So I found that there was this real freedom here where it sort of felt a bit like, this is great, you can just do what you want, but it doesn't, you know, you don't actually get loads of attention for it. You kind of can just do whatever you want and be like a bit incognito kind of thing. Definitely. Because no one cares. It's not it felt like a very free environment. Yeah,
I think that's something that I sort of thought about. Is like there is like a childlike wonder and exploration to your sound. Like, it's like you've still got that spirit of wonderment and adventure.
Oh, thanks.
In a world where a lot of people don't have that, you know, and a lot of people do feel like they have to work in an office 9 to 5 and work for the man. It's
but
cool.
I think I've been really lucky as well. Well, there's luck and there's also like, I guess, perseverance, as in like if you choose that that's what you're going to do, like whatever, then in a way. But then also luck as in, managed to just very independently, like obviously with support from my peers and like, you know, our collective and our label, but managed to like have enough money, you know, like not loads, but manage to be financially viable with just doing music. And I think that's one thing. I think that's one thing I say to younger people is not that I'm like some fucking blueprint for perfection or anything, but, you know. But you are, Chris.
But like stay on your path, stay on the path that you want to go on. Don't make compromises and just accept that, you know, the way it's going to be is the way it's going to be. You can, if you forge your path, you end up in such a beautiful place. You end up like doing the things you want to do.
Especially for the youth of today, like the jobs that existed before are like dissipating. Like, I mean, it's all just very open and like, what the hell's going to happen? Yeah,
it is very much.
So they just need to grab the bull by the horns kind of thing and just do what they feel they need to do.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of like right on, full of it kids around at the moment, because we put on this this monthly night called Audio Active, with Audio Active, a local music charity that do really amazing work, and these young people are just like totally on their own path, just kind of really confident, really empowered, really like anti-establishment. Like they don't even say they're anti-establishment, they're just like, that's literally nothing to do with me, sort of thing, in this really refreshing way. They make you basically feel really positive about what could be possible. Yeah, and what the future holds. Yes, and like if you guys are running things, cool. Like let's just all like step back and let the young people sort it out. They seem to be much more, you know, in touch with what's needed. Definitely. They're here now. We're like old.
So you mentioned you've done loads of different workshops, like community related things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noted a few down. You did one in Azerbaijan with Oxfam.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah,
God, that was quite a while ago. That was maybe I don't know how long ago, maybe like 6 years ago. It's basically a friend of mine through that Beta Collective. He makes films, like he does sort of all different kind of, like, I suppose, like documentary sort of music-y films, like, you know, like One Giant Leap style. He worked with him for a long time, and then through that, I think he's kind of does his own things. He's also a musician in his own right, but so I went over to help him with the music side of it. So we wrote this song it was all about kind of sustainable farming practices in Azerbaijan. It's a really random job, but it made me got to go to Azerbaijan and meet these incredible musicians and hear all this really awesome traditional music, and recorded with this like Azerbaijani pop star in a studio and stuff. That was really it was really incredible. One of the most incredible experiences. I reckon, like that, and going to, I mean, it's not with Bunty, it's with Resonators, but getting to go to Sudan to do a similar, like a music project, to work with musicians out there. I mean, when that sort of thing happens, it's just like such a blessing, basically. It's like crazy.
Because I've worked in community music, so I know how that feels to like lift a group of people through music and get them writing their own lyrics and using synths and things for the first time. But it must be incredible to go abroad and see that happen in a really far-flung community that's not familiar to you.
And also just to experience being, it was the first time I'd been to Africa before. It was in Sudan, Just quite, amazing.
So you are in quite a lot of groups. You've mentioned the Resonators. So what is the Resonators?
The Resonators is basically a UK like live dub act, which in some ways is totally unrelated to the stuff that I do solo, but in another way it isn't, in terms of like the dub element is very similar. The techniques that you use are very similar to what you do when you're looping. And like the way you create dynamics, sort of like dropping things and removing them, and like additive and subtractive, like so in that way stuff, so in that way it's similar. But I mean, the kind of stuff that I write with Resonators I would never write on my own. It's very much like this collective feeling, and it's almost always to do with like sort of love, community, and kind of like political kind of uprising, I suppose. Like, just because that's where I think that's where it's rooted, and that's kind of where it stays or lives, and it's very much like an outlet for those sort of more explicit lyrics. Although I say that, but then actually there's been a lot of interviews with like Resonators where they're like, what do those lyrics mean? So I think there's still maybe still quite trippy lyrics. but that's just fine. That's just I mean, there is no, listening to your lyrics as Bunty, it's like there's no reason to try and understand, like let the conscious mind understand them. I feel like they're something for the subconscious mind a little bit. They're just something to let you just absorb. Like I mean, I could have picked lyrics and gone, what did that sentence mean? What did that phrase mean? But it doesn't really matter what it means to like me or to you. It's like some channeling expression. I'm really glad you feel like that. Good. That's kind of exactly where it's coming from. And like they do make me think of certain things. Like, I mean, there's a million ways to write lyrics, and I use different can't find the word, but there's different ways in which I write lyrics. Like sometimes maybe I'd make up a character that isn't me and I'm writing from their perspective, or sometimes it's just like improvise lyrics over a thing and then listen back and like take words out of it that actually make sense and then piece it together, and almost like the improvisation and the songs like write themselves, and then I listen to them and rework them until they sort of are correct, or like are like to me perfect and finished, and they almost like tell me what they're about sometimes.
That's cool.
Rather than it being like I'm going to write a song about this specific thing.
Yeah.
Or and I know that I guess the thing that I don't do so much is write about like my sort of my feelings in terms of like I rarely sort of think how do I feel today, or I don't know. Obviously my feelings are in there because we are feeling things and that's how you write things, but I guess I don't necessarily use my personal experience as a source material so much. Maybe I probably do subconsciously, but I don't consciously try and do that, I guess, because I think I'm always trying to like escape from like the individual or like the idea of me kind of escape from that into something that's just like the flow of something that's a bit more universal.
Definitely.
Which totally you can, and I'm not knocking, like totally digging really deep into how you feel to express that, because that is also a way of connecting with the universal. People go really into how they feel about something, and then loads of other people are like, oh yeah, that's how that reminds me of how I feel.
Exactly.
But I guess the way I reach it is more looking out
and being like, part of the world, like
something like this sort of like poetics about like everything that's around kind of thing.
Like the sort of like snapshots of, like, for example, if we open the window now, all the textures of the different things happening, they're all totally random collections of sounds from cars and people and whatever else, but that in itself is creating a universal sound, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And
like I suppose like the last time I got really like inspired about a thing was like I read this article that was all about the fact that they'd been doing these like space measurements, and that apparently the universe is and obviously this is like a very untechnical version of what it is, but the basics of it was like that the universe is actually expanding at a faster rate than their like previous calculations, which were like knocking all these like theories out of the water, and the universe was expanding at like a much faster rate, and like I just read a bit of like this article which I sort of half understood, and was like, that's exciting, like like kind of taking ourselves out of the everyday stuff around and kind of like seeing this bigger picture that's bigger than us. And I guess that's also what I'm always trying to like get to, is like, I don't know who said it, but someone was like, the music is much bigger than we are. And I love that idea. It's kind of like we're just like these big, like we're sort of a bit in a way insignificant, not in a good way,
like a channeling procedure. I think we've all
like everything's part of everything else, and it's not it's not like this individual thing. Even though it is, like, but it isn't.
It's a bit like that thing of, if the tree falls down in the desert island, is there anyone around to hear it? So like if you make music to yourself, is that really music when if you're the only one hearing it? It's like it's there to be experienced by everyone, and to just propagate the world, and be shared. I think your music is very like dreamlike and quite like emotive. It's like emotive in a strange way, because you spoke about there being like lyrics. There are also non-lyrics, aren't there? Like imaginary lyrics.
So there's a lot of made up language based on, I suppose, all the languages that I've ever heard, which is like a lot. If you live in London, you hear people like, I love that feeling of like when you're in either a country or just somewhere in London where there's like a group of people and they're like talking really emphatically and you don't know what the fuck they're saying, but you're like really drawn into it's like totally captivating. And so I suppose just a lot of that experience feeding into the music, where because I guess I suppose in a way I suppose I'm aiming to feel as free with using English words, my mother tongue words, in an improvisational setting where I feel so comfortable and in flow that the English words can come out as like freely and without feeling attached to them or feeling like, oh, that's me, like, you know, saying what I think about, you know.
Or them coming to your mind and you holding them back because you know that's going to reveal something.
Yeah. So I guess I'd you know, and there's been, you know, there's always like moments where that occurs, but I guess like I'm aiming towards a place where I'm really unattached to the words and can be as free as I am when I'm using made up language, because there's definitely like emotion in it, but it really is just coming out without, you know, with much less effort. I think
that is, maybe.
And I guess that's like, less with the composition, you know, less when you're writing and recording stuff, but more like in a performance situation, because when you're in the studio you're on your own and it's great, like, you know, you can just do whatever you want and then just delete it. It's like, so that's,
I've deleted plenty of things I've recorded.
Me and Ava, we had this like movement that we were going to start that's like #mute it. We're like, that is amazing, mute it. Like, just like, it's like so this weird joke that like so no one else really got. We were really into it, #mute it. As well, that like, you know, this idea of like not drawing from oneself, it might just be that I'm like scared to do that as well. You know,
that's a good point. Absolutely.
Like, it's like I've found the way that I'm like most comfortable with, and so maybe at one point in my life I'll challenge that and do something that's completely the opposite, you know. I can never say never. I don't ever want to like, I want things to be constantly evolving and like challenging as well. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Especially working with, you know, like Misrepresented. I worked with Misrepresented for years, which is like a young women's collective, and they've all just been through like untold shit. Like, it's mad, and all their lyrics are really like personal, and like, that definitely made me more able to kind of be in that realm by working with them, and like just I suppose part of it's like, I guess like everyone's got their different style of like communication, haven't they? But
I think,
but definitely it was interesting and really inspiring actually.
Like, so they work with society. So they work with vulnerable women.
Exactly.
What sort of work do they do? And where are they based?
So we work they're based. It's a Dome project, but it's based in Brighton, and they we work as. I mean, I haven't been working with them for a year now, but I sort of still feel part. Well, they tell me I'm still part of the team, so I'm like, yes, I don't ever want to not be in the team. We've got a WhatsApp group that I like, just get all the like, you know, like, shit, I'm running late. Like, I'm still like haven't muted the group. I'm like still like seeing it all, and sometimes we'll just like send an emoticon or like, you know, or sometimes give feedback on like blurb and stuff that they're like writing for like when they're showing stuff.
It's good to stay connected.
So because I love them all, and it's this incredible group of women that work together. But it's basically working as a sort of multidisciplinary collective to make work, and that work is like, it can be like an exhibition of photographs, it could be like I guess the most ambitious project that we did, which was last year, we toured this like multidiscipline show, which was like based on their experiences of navigating through the care system. And that was like bits of film, music, performance, like monologues, like all of it sort of weaved together into this piece kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was really they're really amazing. This is the thing about like doing like community projects. It's like obviously you're giving them like your time and you're sort of seeing them and making them feel in this safe environment and like facilitating them creating, but it's also like hugely inspiring. Like they're really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Being around young people is super inspiring, especially teenagers. Like they're full of it. They're like great.
Definitely.
I know people, you know, it depends in which capacity you're working with teenagers. If you're working with them, trying to get them to do things that they don't want to do, then I can understand that that'd be a totally different experience. But working with teenagers when it's totally outside of a institution is like amazing.
Yeah, and I think in my experience,
so cool, and keeps you like tapped into what's going on, so you don't become totally out of touch. Like my capacity for like voice, the like whole vocoder thing that's like well, it's beyond vocoder now, isn't it? It's like kind of like that auto-tune thing, which I couldn't bear before. I'm totally into now, and I think that's good. Not like I'm going to start fucking auto-tuning my voice, but like I understand the music that is going on at the moment. And I think that's really important, to not be like, oh, all the good music was like years ago, like this is all a pile of fucking shit. Like, I'm not saying there is a lot of shit, of course there is, but there always was. There always was.
Look how many records are pressed. And
and like radio and stuff, you know. Yeah, I just think it's like, it's no use to anyone to become all like fuddy-duddy about what's going on now.
Definitely.
It's like about you fucking working hard to get down with it, because that's what's going on.
Happening.
Yeah, like are you going to just like complain that it's not how it was when you were doing it?
Yeah, I think.
Or like in the beginning, I think that's lame.
It is,
basically.
yeah, and it's like I think there's
and it's out of order as well. It's like, why do you think that what you know is better than what they know? It's just different, and what they're doing is now. So how much more important is what they're doing? Because it's now.
Because it's actually happening. This
it's
is the
now.
only time that we can change anything.
Yeah.
It's now.
We're not going to go back in time. Like, it's either like engage with it or like die or something. I don't know. That's a bit harsh, but you know.
No, I think you've latched onto what I think is the reason people do that. Personally is like through fear. Like they're sort of fear. They're scared that they're dying and that they're growing old and they're becoming obsolete themselves.
Right.
So they're saying like, oh, my time was the precious time. My time was the good one.
Yeah.
Because I'm really fucking scared that my time's now over.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like a weird subconscious
maybe
manifestation of going.
You know what? I think like more and more, I think so much is a weird manifestation of fear of death, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot more than we think.
Definitely.
Much more than we think. Like it's still just really wild that we're alive, but we can contemplate our end.
Mm-hmm.
Like
there's a really interesting book, Darren Brown.
I don't read. It's my failing. Is there a podcast?
An audio
yes,
book.
that's what I want.
Darren Brown wrote a book called Happy, which is about essentially just leading a more happy life in very simple ways. But he talks about death, and essentially what happens, like, we've all been dead. We were all not born at one time, so we're scared of going to this place that we've all already been to.
That's a
really
nice
idea,
way to see it. Yeah.
And so
what's it called? Being
happy. It's just called Happy. Yeah, cool. It's about Stoicism. It's a book about Stoicism. But yeah, there is a whole chapter on death and dealing with death, and it's quite uplifting because we're all really scared of it, and he lists like at that as an example of like we've already been there.
Yeah.
We've already been to that place, and when it happens, when we die, each of us individuals, we're not going to be around to see it. Like we're scared of this thing that we're not going to experience. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's just the prospect of it that we're scared of.
The
like,
idea, which is
fine.
like most things, like the idea of a thing is so much more scary than the actual thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the worst for that. Like
me too.
I'll dread doing stuff and then go and do it.
No, me too. Yeah, me too. Or like it was great. Even
Yeah.
like I loved this sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I thought I was really cool with death. Like, cause like throughout my life I've been like, yeah, death, whatever, it's definitely gonna happen. Like, but I think it's changed since having a child. It feels much more real.
Really?
That I am gonna die. and I don't want to. But I'm like aware that I need to like, I basically need to engage with it. Like I need to get down with it. Do whatever it needs to just be fully down with it by the time it happens.
Exactly. And I think those fears, you can harness those fears as being like, right, I'm going to lead I'm going to do the most stuff I can. I'm going to put my heart and soul into everything because I know this is finite. Like no one's around forever. So like lead your life, do the things you want to do, say the things to the people that you love. You know, like treasure
all
those
these
moments.
Things.
It's sort of quite generic things, really.
No, but they're generic important because they're like true. It's a bit like people that are heartbroken and all those things they write, and it's like, you hear that stuff all the time. It's like it's because it's true. It's like really awful, and like, all the like cheesy stuff is like true.
Yeah, exactly. I've got an example which is really weird, which is the out of the near-death experience. So I got hit by a car while I was riding a bike one time, and I had that generic out of near-death experience where the whole world is white and only you exist.
Wow.
So I actually had that happen, and like, I would never fucking believe it when I hear people saying like everything disappears, it's just you're suspended in midair, your whole life flashes before your eyes. But that actually happened to me.
Wow.
And then I was like, fuck, that's not bullshit. But then even me saying it to a lot of people probably sounds like bullshit. So it's that stuff is like, I experienced that. I experienced like thinking about all my friendships that happened and all the missed
what, just literally like
but like it was a very slow pace. It was within the seconds of being hit by a car and landing on the floor. But it felt like a very long time. I had a lot of time to really contemplate, and all I could see was my own body in this big white space. But it's such a generic experience. It's so generic that it sounds cheesy to say it. But that's what you see on TV. People saying and like
like on ER. No, but that's amazing.
So there are like shared experiences we all have, and shared feelings that that we all experience that are cheesy, but that's just because they have it. Cool. So you use a loop pedal.
I do
for your music.
You
talked about when you picked it up. What did you start off looping? What were you doing in the beginning?
I can't quite remember. I think, voice. Like, I started using just voice, and I suppose, like, a bit of, like, percussive stuff, because I'd been spending a lot of time with a beatboxer, and we'd sort of use our voices in that way, in a kind of percussive way. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to remember, like, that music from then, but like using the stuff that I had available to me with my voice, so like harmony, rhythm stuff, and then like even back then, like I guess like these languages that I'd kind of play around with. So from the beginning there was that in there.
Mm-hmm. And was it because what you do is very you have released albums, you've released music on
Bandcamp. It's like these two things that are sort of the same, but they're kind of separate. The live thing and the recorded thing is that they're quite different, but then I suppose the process is used to create a similar, as in it would be rare that I will write a song and then record it. Mm-hmm. So in the studio, it I suppose it's still, and there's exceptions to everything that I'm saying, but like in general, it will still be kind of like cutting and pasting, like kind of like collage-y, improvising things and then chopping them up. Sort of a process of improvisation and selection, I suppose. Rather than having the parts, sort of laid out and then recording them. Mm-hmm. It's almost always the other way round.
I see. And so when you're playing live, you don't it's like improvised.
Yeah, but then there's also some like composition-y things which I'll either do a version of, or it depends when you're talking about. Like the last few times that I've played have been mainly like improvisation, and some of the songs have come out of these improvisations that I've done on my own. So like say like the last 4 shows are the ones that I've done with this I've got a new setup basically. So I've got a new looper that does what all loopers do, but it's a different bit of kit. So it's making me do different things. It's like the parameters are different. You've got 5 loops instead of 3. Each of those loops can be however long, but still be quantized into together, which is like a big difference to the pedal I was using. It's up here, so you're doing it with your hands instead of your feet, which is actually completely different, because it just means that, you just can't do the set. Before, I'd have been doing a lot more things with my hands to create the sounds, because I'd be pressing it with my feet.
Stomping with your feet.
So literally physically it's different, so it's making me do different things.
Cool. So what is the machine you're using now, just for the
it's an RC 505, is it?
Boss, is it?
It's a Boss one, Boss RC 505.
Has it got the circles with the lights outside?
Yeah, that is the 505,
that's
isn't it?
That's a really good one.
Yeah, it's a really bloody good one.
Yeah.
And I've only just like skimmed the surface of what I can do with it. It's a really fun machine. It's actually really powerful.
Great, yeah. I think anybody can have fun with a loop.
Definitely. That's the thing that I've like always said, is like people, especially people that don't use that haven't had much experience of using like technology or hardware, that they think it's more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
And I'm always just like, honestly, it's really easy. Like, I've always been quite like, and maybe that's like, maybe I'm exaggerating, as in, obviously it depends, it's about putting good things into it, but in terms of being able to generate sounds that are decent, I think most people can do it.
Definitely.
And would be able to do it.
I think what I love about the way that you use looping and people use looping is the way that like you're arranging the track with instinct. It's not like so many people making music in using a computer where it's like the definite 12 bars or something.
Right,
and then it's so much on feeling of like, right now the bass comes in, or like now I take the drums out and do some freestyling over it. I think people really connect to that, and your live shows are really captivating. I don't think I don't think it's an exaggeration to say you're the best live act I've ever seen.
Wow, really?
Yes, really.
Thank you. That's such a huge compliment. Thank you.
I don't think it's an exaggeration, because it's something that stayed with me for a long time. I lived in Eastbourne and I got the bus. I would always get the bus to come to Brighton, and I'll never forget seeing your live show, and like everyone there after was like, that was fucking amazing.
Wow.
We were talking about it for weeks, and then whenever we see your name up again, it's always like, Bunty's playing, let's go and watch
That's
it.
so cool, thank you.
Yeah, and that's also from seeing a lot of live music, but not live music. Like really live.
Because I guess a lot of stuff is becoming also very slick, isn't it? And it's incredible, but it's very slick.
Yeah.
Almost so you could listen to the record and it's the same. Yeah, which is kind of amazing as well. Like, I am always a bit like, wow. But yeah, I guess there's something lost, there's something gained. They're just different things, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think because you're on that knife edge of it being like, this could all go brilliantly. Equally, something can go wrong, and it could go like that knife edge that you're on in improv is a really exciting place to be. I'm sure it is for you as an artist, but also for the audience as well, because it's like, this is really happening. Like if you accidentally kick something or someone makes a noise in the audience,
then it'll be in it.
That's fucking brilliant. Like those are the things that make you realise you're alive. It's not just a techno
I guess
track.
it is like it. Yeah, I guess what I like about playing live, part of it is how much the audience are kind of responsible for what's going to happen, like whether they know it or not, you know, because it's going to be different, like who's there and what they're doing. Like even just like if they're super attentive and really, really quiet and the space is really intimate, then something will happen that's responding to that. Or if they're like rowdy and, you know, like moving around, and, you know, like yeah. I think like what they're it's like a very like kind of some sort of alchemy, what's based on everything that's there, that's gonna influence the outcome, basically, isn't it? Yeah, or create the outcome, I'd go as far as to say, because without the people, then the gig doesn't exist, does it?
Definitely, I think so. I agree. No, it is an amazing thing you do, and I think I was thinking about, you know, like big pop artists when they go on these world tours and they do like 50 things, and they just play to like essentially a backing track. And they like must be a bit bored of doing the same old songs and like, oh, I hate that song, but the crowd love it. And like you're in a wonderful position where it's all improv, or it could all be improv.
If I wanted,
you can perform if you want to do like a version of one of your tracks and totally fuck it up or do something different. You're free to do that. Yeah, you know, there's like
I do feel lucky for that.
That's
but
nice.
You know, I suppose also, but that I also think is, in terms of like music industry, is a limitation as well, you know. Maybe it doesn't have to be, like I think part of me thinks it doesn't have to be, but then also there's an element of sometimes it feels like that is a limitation as well, in terms of, you know.
Yeah, the established music industry and what they want. Yeah.
Because friends, especially friends that like come back to town, like after ages, they're like, "Aren't you famous yet? Like, why are you not famous yet?" Sort of thing. Which, like, you know, it's quite funny, but
aren't you famous?
Like, famous by now.
I've always been famous.
But yeah, I guess the way the music industry is set up, it's like it's for you to create a formula and stick to that formula, and you can deviate from it a lot, but there's like certain things, isn't there? Like the way it's set up is like you've written these songs and people want to hear those songs, and that is the formula for like more mainstream sort of success, isn't it?
Exactly, you need these,
and to like get to play to more people in more places.
Would you like that? Would you like it if you had like way more exposure? If you
yeah, I want to have more exposure, definitely. I want to play I love small gigs, like, and I actually think like 200 people, 300 people is probably like my favourite. Actually, up to 500 people is really
This is
nice.
going up very quickly.
No, because I'm thinking of like different gigs that I've played. Like 500 people is really wicked in a certain way, as in like it's still big enough. It's still small enough that you all can feel like together. But I reckon like 200 is really special. Like, and 50 is really wicked as well, you know, like in terms of you really feeling connected to the people. But then there's something about playing bigger shows that is ace as well. It's like, it's the energy that can be generated by that many people is really like cool as well.
Yeah, I expect.
And I'd like to be able to do both. I'd like to, you know, for like my exposure to like continue growing in like, in the way that it sort of has over the years, and to continue growing and be able to travel around the world more, and for people to want to come and see my gigs, you know. Yeah. And I'd like to play big shows too.
It's interesting you hit that. You said that number of 200 people being the optimum number, because I don't know. Like, it must be hard to articulate what is the difference between 50 people and 500 as a performer and like as a collective experience. Yeah. But it's interesting you say 200 people, because Liam Howlett of The Prodigy, the producer behind The Prodigy, like one of my childhood idols. Love that guy. He said the same thing. He said, I prefer smaller venues. 200 people is what I love performing to.
But you know, part of it's also like to do with sound as well. Like the sound, like, because I've played, like, you know, some, like, bigger shows, like, you know, like festival shows or whatever, where it's like, I don't know, like 1,000 people or whatever, or, you know, like a massive field that may not be full, but if it was, there'd be like a few thousand people in it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like shit, like, and it's very hard for it to not sound shit in a big place. It's not like something that's surrounding you. You know, like when you play a show and the sound is really like encompassing around you and the people, and you're all in it together, like, and there's like a bubble kind of thing. And I imagine the bigger that they get, the more like, and I suppose it's an experience as well. Like you probably learn to get that feeling from like a really big gig.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're saying that though. The first podcast I did was with a girl called Cheryl Panera, who's a bassist.
Okay.
And she was in the Go team and she's in lots of other things.
So she'd have played these really massive ones.
Yeah, she was mentioned that on the first podcast. You've taken my mind back there, where she was saying like it's so hard playing on a stage, like playing outdoors at like a big gig, because there's wind, there's so many other factors involved. There's not like a reflection of the sound. The monitors have got to be good. You've got to be close to the monitors. But it's
quite a different experience, but it is really fun as well. It's really fun being outside, and the wind actually is really fun as well. You know?
And
it's
everyone's
just different.
Like so much more relaxed at a festival. Like, everyone's in their best, like their best personality, festival personality. But it sort of reminds me of, you did a project in a church using the acoustics of the church. And that sort of environment is a very nice environment to perform in, because of the acoustic space and the all-encompassing feeling. Like, you know, when you go to church and there's a choir singing, and the choir's there, but it feels like the choir's like here. Yeah,
they've like built those buildings for that, haven't they? They've
What was the project that you did in the church?
Are you talking about, well, there's two things that happened in the church. One was like, I did this like album launch show for my first like official album, I suppose. Do you know that there's this like weird album that you probably haven't heard that I should give you? I mean, it's good bad, but it's good. It's like very, very like homemade. It's like the first thing I recorded.
Really?
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
But it was just on CD, and it was like handmade sort of like sleeve covers. But I should get you a copy. I don't actually have a copy of it, but it's called Mimu, and I'm thinking like, because I'm sort of in the middle of sorting out, like streamlining my like online stuff with this woman, because it's so all over the place. Like my online, it is. I guess actually be interested to see, what do you think? Don't you think it's very like bits over here and bits over there, and
it is a little bit, but no, I think I've seen worse. But I mean, it depends what your vision is, doesn't it? It depends what you like want to do with it. I love the colours. I love all the vibrant colours. Like
of course.
Like, the aesthetics are amazing. The photos are amazing. Some of the You know
what? Actually, it's worth mentioning that someone who I've been working really closely with to make visuals for me, and has worked on like a lot of my artworks before. This girl, she goes under the name Jomotopia. She's based in Liverpool. Oh, right. She's really excellent. She's the one that I was doing the VR project with here.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we do definitely have to mention that, because we are sat in the
in the VR lounge. VR complex.
But that's
but you asked me something else really about the church, weren't you?
Yeah.
So there was two things. One was I created like a series of gigs called Music for Churches that I must have played at one of them. But basically, just thinking about the acoustics of the church, and getting people to play in the church that would sound beautiful in church. As simple as that, really. And then the other thing was an album launch for Licking the Loon, which is like the first like official album that I put out, that I performed in that same church, and we made like a sort of quite immersive show that we only ever did once in that church, with sort of performers and visuals and like kind of props. Like I remember there being this TV that I like hit at a certain point, and then it comes on. That's kind of all I remember. And I remember some sort of like the dancers like running out of like from stage and coming back, and there's some synchronized stuff. There's some like scrappy videos of it somewhere, but yeah.
Really? Oh,
so those are the two like main experiences. And it was at St Andrew's Church in Waterloo Street.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing church.
Is that in Brighton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really cool church. Such nice people as well. And randomly, like the guy, one of the main guys that works there, also he'd like volunteer his time to work there, but his proper job was being like a lighting person at the BBC. So that church, just randomly, he'd like got all this really great lighting gear that like he'd let you use for like he'd sort of charge you, I don't know, like 40 quid or something to do the lights for you. It's like, this is a great deal. I don't know if it's still like that. I don't know if he's still there, but yeah, for a few years he was there.
It's great when you have that one person who's just got this random connection to something that's really enhances.
Yeah, a bit like the scrolling sign that is at the Rose Hill. We've got this scrolling sign that you can program. It's just like randomly our friend goes around the world teaching, like programming these electronic signs for like bus companies and stuff. So like managed to get us one of them and stuff like that. It's just like great. Oh, good.
Because I love the decor, I love what you've done in the Rose Hill.
Oh, thank you.
It's a really, it was a cool venue a few years ago. I think Youth Music put on an event there, and I volunteered to take some photographs for them. So it's the first time I'd ever been. It was like, wow, it's like a house. It's like a house and a pub. But the wall hadn't been knocked through then, so it's still the little window bit.
Yeah.
But what you've done with it now is spectacular.
Oh,
it's
thank
so
you.
Good.
That's
amazing.
like a lot to do with my boyfriend and our friends that like can do buildy stuff. And if they can't do it, they seem to just YouTube it and like do it anyway. You know, like those kind of can-do attitudes.
Yeah, we'll knock through the partition wall. I've seen a few videos on YouTube.
But it literally was like that. Like our friend Ulysses is like, you know, he's not a structural engineer, but he's like, he does that sort of work. But I don't think he's got any like official credentials, but he knows how to do that stuff.
That's good.
So I think he did, like the first time we did something like that, he came in. And then he didn't need to come in because they'd kind of understood how to do it. So then they did it themselves. But it is a bit like, sometimes, you know, it was a bit like, there's this metal thing up there that's holding the whole building up that you guys are saying is okay. Like, you know, when it's all exposed. Like, I remember coming down being like, is this all right? Like, is it? Like,
this is either brilliant or it's the worst idea you've ever had.
But no, they're really good.
Yeah, but I think so. I mean, it is amazing how you've opened it up. It's really nice to be. And I think in the gig where Mesa Dawn plays there, I was sat basically like at the side right next to the van, like almost sat on the stage, which wouldn't have been possible
before
a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's also the decor in there. The decor's just so vibrant and you know, sporadic random collections of things that do somehow fit together. It's a really great space. So what is the Rose Hill for people that don't know?
So the Rose Hill is basically this artist run independent venue and studio complex stroke like community centre, really, because I guess the things that we host there are there's like a monthly creative program that people basically email us, and we have these programming meetings where we like curate a monthly program, and I suppose we're quite fussy about what we put on based on our taste, really, like as a group. But then if it's a community thing, then we're just like, yeah, you can do it. So it straddles those two things, basically. And we're about to have a second round of it, but this really awesome project called Viral that's through, it's a lighthouse project. Mm-hmm. People don't know the lighthouse, it's a sort of digital art charity in Brighton. And it's working with a group of young creatives that are right at the beginning, that are outside of education and might not have access to sort of facilities or just support to kind of develop their creative vision. So they get to work at the Rose Hill with like us as the kind of music facilitators, but then there's also people that are facilitating like more visual art stuff and film stuff and then they have like kind of what do you call it, like one-off sort of master classes with different people, and it runs for like 6 months every Tuesday day. So at those times it's basically running like a community centre, which like that's always that was always my vision, was for it to be, well, our vision, but I suppose the community aspect of it is more my vision, just because that's like my world I've come from. For it to do both those things, and we've built these amazing studios in the basement that were used as part of that project, but then also can kind of be used as like a green room, so that artists, when they come and play, even though it's quite a small venue, they get a really nice green room, which is quite like rare, and I think people really appreciate it. Like just having a space to like get ready and feel like you can just chill for a bit before a gig is actually, like, obviously it's quite a luxury, but I think I think it changed it for people. I think it makes them feel more at home as well, because that's sort of like they've got this like home bit, and then they're playing a gig upstairs kind of thing.
I can see that definitely being a like a positive thing to turn up to, and it sort of reminds me in a totally in an unrelated way, but it's related in a way that it makes me feel more comfortable. Is I worked for a community charity in London called Create, who do music workshops, and they do lots of other they don't just do music.
I think
workshops,
I've heard of them.
Loads. But when you go and do a workshop for them, they have a member of staff that goes with you who's just like a person from the office who's like looking after the project. So they deal with all of the things that you would have to do on a normal community music project, like speak to someone, get the key codes for the doors, sort out the lunches and all that sort of stuff.
The like admin side of it. Battersea Art Centre work in a very similar way when they do outreach stuff and they get artists in, which is like the main other like people that I've worked for, and it's so good.
Because
and are they people that like also, are they like kind of like, have they done lots of work with young people, so they're like they're like the youth worker kind of thing, but taking care of all the admin? It's so luxurious like that, isn't it?
I know. You go there as the artist,
but it's amazing for that though. It works so well as a format, doesn't it?
So like, good, because you just deliver what you need to deliver,
and what you know, what your like specialism is.
And you don't have to like ask John to go and get the keys for the thing before you've got to deliver your workshop, so you're all panicked. So it sounds like a similar thing in a way, that they've got a lovely green room to just relax in and chill out in.
Exactly.
I read that yesterday that you've got a studio downstairs. So I was like, wow.
They built that, like, literally Jules and our mates have like built it. Like he's made all this amazing studio furniture out of fire doors. Basically my boyfriend's really annoyingly good at everything.
Annoyingly good at everything.
He's amazing at everything. Like he's a really good pianist, really good synth player, really good singer, really good viola player, and can build anything. He's like really into plants, like, because he used to do like landscaping. He's one of those
Superb,
ones.
You've got a good one there by the sound of things.
He's a genius.
Fantastic. It's a wonderful venue, and I think if anyone's ever in Brighton, they should certainly check out like what's going on there.
Thank you. It's growing. It's like it's really lovely because of the people that come are really lovely, isn't it, as well?
Really great intimate atmosphere, and it's not like,
and it
rowdy,
seems to be
lads,
diversifying as well, more and more, which is great, because that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place for everyone, really, really. That's what it's supposed to be, and I think it's slowly becoming that. Like I had this moment the other day where there's this local record label guy called David Frampton. I don't know whether you know him, but he runs a record label called Eyeless Records that's a really eclectic mix of stuff he puts out. Cool. But they do like twice a year, they do an all-dayer, and it's free, and it's just music all day, and I always promise that I'll make like food to sell and the artists get it a bit cheap. And it's actually really fun doing like food for like big food. But like it's nothing like amazing, but like food in big amounts kind of thing. Like get these big pots and stuff. And I like looked around, and there was like some really, really far out thing going on like on stage. It was like this really like, who was it? I can't remember it. It was very far out improv stuff going on. And there was like such a mixed bunch of people. There was this like really old, like they looked over 80.
Right, yeah.
Couple sitting on one of the pews. There were like some children running around. There were like these cool, like looking like quite like urban style like teenagers. And then there was just like a real mixed bag of people. And I was like, wow, it's like actually happening. It really is like, and they all feel comfy. And it's like,
that's fantastic. Like your
it's
vision
really exciting.
Is starting to propagate.
And I mean, the vision, it's not like such a like, it's quite a normal vision actually, like a place where anyone can feel comfortable. It's kind of like how it just should be, really. But somehow that's like this big deal. But you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, but I'm saying it's really nice.
No, it's really nice. And I think also having a space for like community, for people from any background to come there and express themselves through music or whatever it is, through arts. Yeah. Like so many people haven't had opportunity to do that, or their voice isn't heard, or they haven't been encouraged to try things. Yeah. So I think those spaces are so valuable.
Yeah, and, you need platforms for these things to be able to flourish, right?
Yeah. And I know someone called, what's her name? Hannah. Her name's Hannah, and she runs a company called Soundcastle in Brighton.
Cool. I don't know that.
Oh, that's
should
so
write
good.
That down. Wow.
Yeah, I can get you in touch. And they do. Well, she's just she works in community music. I'll explain the story about how I know her. Yeah. So I was working at a summer school in Mayfield, St Leonard's, somewhere in the south of England. Yeah. And they turned up to our summer school to do a music workshop, and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. No one told us they were coming, and so they turned up and did this music workshop with groups of kids throughout the day. Yeah. And it was just body, like they had no instruments at all, so it was stamping your feet, and like each little group made like their little motif. Yeah. Using the body. And voices and things like that.
Percussion and stuff.
Yeah. So then their motif, they taught to this group, and then they taught theirs to them. So they combined theirs, and then they created like this song.
That's
and
lovely.
It's through absolutely no musical instruments. And I'm coming from a background of like Ableton Live, MIDI keyboards, synthesizers, need to bring all this fucking expensive shit. And like,
all the gear,
I've got the wrong cable and all that stuff, wrong power supply. And I just walked in with nothing and created like the best workshop I've ever seen in my life.
It wasn't Ollie, was it? A guy called Ollie?
No, it was Fernando. Okay. Fernando, I think, is her husband. He's a Brazilian guy. Okay. And Hannah. So they run Soundcastle in Brighton.
Brilliant.
Definitely get them in touch.
Yeah, brilliant.
They're wonderful people, and they've even done stuff in favelas in Brazil.
Amazing.
Brazilian, so
actually, it's worth mentioning something just to go back to what we were talking about before. The main thing about viral and misrepresented is it's very participant led. Mm-hmm. It's like super participant led. So we never know what it's gonna be, and so there's like quite a lot, there can be like a bit of anxiety about like, shit, are we getting anything done? Because there's always like this end date. But I think that's a really key part that I'm really into about like a lot of the more recent youth projects that I've worked in that like set them apart from other youth projects that I've been involved in, and it's this idea of it being participant led. So you don't go in with like an idea of what you're doing. Like, you've got these skills that you can share, but actually it's about what they want to do. So you're not telling them what to do.
That's really cool. It reminds me of what's the teaching really style? Is it Montessori or something?
I don't know, but that is. Like I know that's a rad style of teaching, but I don't know what's the.
But that's exactly what it is. The kids go to. Is it Montessori? Someone's literally talked to me about this on Saturday because they
Montessori
do it.
Sounds like it might be.
Forgotten what the word is.
That's like my whole life.
But I'm the same. But so kids will go into the class and within reason, they choose what they want to do. What do they want to learn about today? Yeah. How do they want to learn? And they just
work it around that.
Yeah, and then they learn so much more. They get so much more into it.
They're really into it
because they're participating.
Yeah,
great, lovely. So the Rose Hill is
calm,
awesome.
It's really nice.
definitely should talk about the place that we're in now, the FuseBox.
Yeah.
They've lovingly allowed us to sit here and chat in there and drink their tea and coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, the FuseBox is like a sort of tech centre in Brighton with lots of different artists making virtual reality stuff and AR experiences. And I believe you were involved in one of those at some point.
Yeah, so I worked really closely with this guy called George. He's got a company called Mutiny Media, and that artist that I was talking about, Joe Motopia, and this guy called Andy, who I'm sure he's got his own company too, but I think he basically works as a freelance programmer, creator. Like, he put the thing together basically. We'd give him like the images and the ideas and stuff, and he was putting it together for us. And we got to a sort of a certain point with it where, so basically what we did was, it's a little while ago now, we created this like 3D, Joe created on based on like a few conversations we all had, created this 3D environment with sort of like a landscape on the outside and then this dome. And I put on like a motion sensor suit and then and attached like a microphone so that we could record my voice live. And I basically improvised this piece in VR, if you see what I mean. So I was in that environment and sang within that environment, this like quite sort of intimate, slightly like ritualistic sort of, that those were the things that we had in our minds, like kind of this idea of like intimacy and also like ritual space.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And improvised this a cappella song, which we then, she created me an avatar, and we kind of we worked with this woman called Anna. I can't remember her surname. I'm rubbish.
That's okay.
But she was also working here, and she works very much in like VR sound and kind of 3D sound and like sound for film and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so they basically recreated the 3D picture of what was going on acoustically in this virtual space, so that in response to my vocals. So basically, so the acoustic was real in this virtual space, and so when someone entered the virtual space, my avatar would be singing to you, but if they were further away, you'd be hearing them further away. You'd be hearing like the acoustics of this VR dome.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And yeah, so we got to a certain point with it, and it was like our first foray, like our first time working in VR. So it was like I was saying to you before we started the interview. It was like both really exciting and quite frustrating, because how you imagine things are going to look, they don't end up quite looking. And if you're me and Joanne, you're really fussy about the way you want it to be, even though it's actually quite hard to explain exactly how you want it to be. But when you're working on something yourself, you sort of tussle with it until it's right, don't you? Like musically and visually. Because we didn't have those skills to we don't know how to use. I think they were using was it Unreal? No, it wasn't Unreal. Unity. I think they were using Unity. And also all the different limitations about how people are going to actually engage with it. Are they going to wear a headset? Is it going to be on a computer where it's just, where they put, or is it going to be in an actual space where they, more of an installation? All really interesting. And we demoed it at a few different places, like the Brighton Music Conference. We did it there, which was really weird because actually it was so out of place there. It was like all these people talking about how to make like a club classic, like a number one kind of thing, and then we did this really weird thing.
The off kilter. I think it's good to be those people, isn't it? That like everyone else is within the box, and then you're like way off.
Yeah, well, I guess like also like my aim is to like defy, consciously defy like definition. Like that is one of the things that I'm, I don't want to fit into a thing. I just want to do what I want.
That's a great term. Defy definition.
Yeah, kind of thing. So
really cool. Yes, I've actually worked at BMC for Loop Masters, the company.
Right.
So I know that event, and we were very much the sort of techno and drum and bass and house music.
it was amazing though, that lab of like equipment that you could come and like mess around with. It was really incredible. We were just in one of the sort of like, because you know there's like those rooms dedicated to like lectures and sort of, so we were in one of those, but with this like, with our demo of our thing that we weren't totally convinced by the actual demo, but it was cool to show it, and we really want to develop it further. It's just about having enough time to get funding, because we're kind of at that point where we basically need to get funding to continue to work. She's in Liverpool, I'm here, and really what we need is like dedicated time to do a residency and work on it like intensely to sort of develop the idea and what we want to do. Like I'm still really interested in this idea of having this like intimate experience with an avatar and feeling that kind of like live feeling in a virtual space. I find that interesting. Definitely. And architecturally, she's really interested in like architecture and kind of acoustic spaces within architecture, and like almost like also these like creating these kind of like ritualistic, I don't want to use the word spiritual, but I guess like creating these new spiritual places where maybe ceremonies can occur. Like I don't know, but like modern ones, you know, like ones that people can relate to now. Maybe. Like maybe it'll be a place where everyone comes together and sings together. Like maybe it will be like fucking Oasis or something. Everyone gets into this thing and like sings Oasis all together. Or you know what I mean? Like maybe it's like whatever people can relate to. I think it means something. I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time for VR.
It really is. It really is.
And that's why I'm here. Is like. Yeah. I'm really excited about what can be done, and like just through you talking, I'm thinking like if your looper pedal sends MIDI, then that MIDI data can do stuff visually in space. You know, and then that's exciting. Or even like you could do a gig. I don't know, here with the mocap stuff on and a microphone. And there could be people in, like your students in Azerbaijan, if they've got, you know, they've got headsets, or anyone in the world can go to that gig and see you play there and like walk around you and have the acoustics of the space.
It's kind of like all a bit vague, but all quite exciting. You just need to kind of get into the crux of it, you know?
Yeah, like the possibilities is so broad and so wide, and the technology's there to do a lot of these things, but it's like whittling down what your concept and like it's a little
because
bit
it takes so long. Yeah, exactly, and we realise
like,
that it really is. It's about making compromises and deciding what's really important and focusing on that bit to make that like right.
Yeah, but I guess as an artist, you want to limit those compromises as much as possible. Don't
well,
you?
I don't know. Sometimes those I guess compromise is different to constraints, I suppose, isn't it? But like. There's a similarity there, and I guess working within constraints is always quite good, I think, like to just make something happen.
Limitations.
So maybe it's like about seeing it like that, in a way, like it's a sort of positive in a way.
There are no
but I've yet to see. I want, in fact, I'm here, so I'd like, if it's cool, I'd love to like come back another time when there's time and like see what VR stuff is going on and like try some things on, like in try what stuff's been made recently, because I did that a while ago, and it's so far like I still haven't had a VR experience that I'm really like convinced by yet. But I haven't had all of them, and I'm not like going like they're all shit. I'm just saying I personally haven't like found one that I've, you know, like when you go and see an amazing bit of art, or you go and see an amazing installation, or you see an incredible gig, and you're like, yeah, that feels so fucking vital and like and like emotional and like I really care about it. Most of the things that I've seen, I'm like, yeah, don't care. Like I don't care about it. And I don't know whether it's to do with like maybe the music that's been made for it that isn't quite like my thing, or just the way it feels. Maybe the concept isn't like strong enough. I don't know.
Have you tried Tilt Brush? Have you done Tilt Brush?
A bit. Yeah, that is incredible.
The first thing that is like fucking it's really is just like a life-changing thing.
It's basically Photoshop in VR. It's incredible.
And you can paint with chrome and it just stays in the air.
And like make it small and then walk around it like crazy. Yeah, that is amazing.
It is really cool.
Yeah, I think like those are the things that I think are really cool, like that I've seen in VR so far. And like I say, I haven't seen everything. I've just seen some stuff here, like on the regs when we were working on that thing, which is probably about almost a year ago now. Was things like that, things like tilt brush, and also what's that? There's like a sequencing program that's in VR. That's a bit like, it's like a looper. Mm-hmm. It is a looper.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
What was it called? And I made a few little sketchy tunes in that, and that I was like, this is so cool, like, you know, to just be able to like, be creating in VR.
Yeah, because what a lot of people say about it is it's like you are actually in another world. You're away from the notifications.
Exactly.
You're away from the
it's totally immersive, and that was the thing. Yeah.
So it's like a tranquil space. It can be
it
I
can
guess
be.
It can be like traumatic if you want it to be traumatic. All those things.
Yeah.
But
those I found really interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Tilt brush is awesome.
There are some exciting things. No, definitely. I've spoken to Andy. I think he's Andy Baker.
That's it, Andy Baker.
And he said he'd love to have you back. He'd love to work with you again.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd be more than welcome to come here anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I'm really excited because there's some really inspirational people here.
Yeah.
That are always around, and there's always people to ask questions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know they'd be more than happy to have you back. And
I'd love to work some more on that project. I think the next step is getting some funding for it. But then, I'd love to come and just see what stuff's been going on, like see people's demos and stuff. Is what's her name? Mafjay. Is she still around?
Yeah.
How's her project going? But she's doing like storytelling.
Yeah, I don't know. I talked to her sort of a little bit. I don't know.
She's really cool, you know.
She's really cool. Yeah,
she's so nice.
Really open and
she's
lovely.
So nice. Yeah, I really liked her.
Yeah, she's a great person.
Cool.
Yeah, you can tell she's got there's no like ego.
Pretension.
There's no pretentiousness. She's very
great,
much like open and free.
Yeah, she's well nice.
Chatty. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, just finally, I don't know if it's I always feel bad saying like what's coming up for you in the future, because I don't want to put like any pressure if there's not. If you just
no, there's no pressure. Like basically, I'm about to start recording an album. That's what I feel like I want to do. I want to just get back into the studio and record, whilst also just like if gigs come in, I'm still like developing the live set with this new setup, so I haven't got any gigs coming up, but I'm sure there'll be some. There's like, I'm not like particularly touring a certain thing or anything like that, but I'm sure there'll be gigs and you'll hear about it when there are.
Great.
Come. It will basically be hopefully me with Jonotopia doing visuals. That's kind of like our ideal setup at the moment.
Fantastic.
And then based on some of the tunes that have come out of recent gigs and recent, rehearsals on my own, I'm gonna start recording a new album kind of now. And I mean, this is so unlikely because so many people have gone for it, but I'm looking at this picture of Cece Bloomstein, aka Agent Amphibian, who I've basically just done a collaboration with. We've made this tune. David Attenborough did a call out. Like for his 90th birthday, he's done a remix competition basically, and there's this gamelan music that he recorded in the 60s. So she basically contacted me saying, I was going to contact you anyway to collaborate with me. She's obsessed with frogs. She's like, seriously.
I've seen them. I know who that is.
Yes, she's incredible. I clocked it as I came in. She's an amazing character, and she got in contact saying, I met up with her and she was like, look, I was going to contact you anyway to say, would you like to collaborate on making a piece of music using these recordings that a colleague of mine is making like today and tomorrow over the next few days of frogs in the rice fields of Java. Wow. But then I've also seen this call out. It's like serendipitous and really big coincidence. We should enter. So in the end, what it ended up being, there was like no time. So in the end, it ended up being that she just sent me the frog recordings. and then I like wrote her this email being like, tell me like the 10 top things of why you like love frogs so much, kind of thing. And she sent me this like incredible, she was like, just give me a few like moments. She was basically like, look, I understand that it's easy for you to work in the studio alone. I'll be on call like for the next few days until the deadline, kind of thing.
Nice.
So I like sent her this message, and she was like, just give me a few hours, like I'm in a coffee shop, but I'll get home and I'll send you the thing. She sent me this like amazing writing of like these 10 reasons, which like some of it was like really factual and scientific, but like written in this like insanely poetic way. So basically I based all my lyrics on like stuff that she'd written about.
That's so cool.
And collaborated with Dave the Machine, who like produced Multimos, which is like my last album, and he happened to have like 2 days where he could kind of dedicate. So we just like to and fro'd this tune, and we've put it in, and we've been selected in the next like the top 30.
That's fantastic.
But so it goes down to like the top 6, and then if you win, you get like a Songlines award or whatever. So that's like the most recent thing that I've like been engaged with, like which was like a few weeks ago. We finished exciting. It, put it in. But I'm just really chuffed that we even got it selected in the top 30, because it was like a big remix competition. Like it went out like on like Evening Standard or something, Daily Mail or whatever. It was like quite. But
I feel like I did it.
So like I'm like, if we get into the last 6, that'll just be so good. We've got the frog angle, man. Like the frog angle is strong. Like I don't think anyone else is gonna have like frogs sounds from in Indonesia, where gamelan music is from. And like, you know, there's a little bit where you write your blurb, and I've sort of, you know, said the story of what it is, kind of thing.
I think those serendipitous things are all like,
and like I don't know, it's very like, it's such like, you know, who knows, but that would be awesome if we were selected as the final 6.
Great, I can't wait to hear it. If people can put support behind it in any way.
So if we get selected for the final 6, then it goes to like public vote, which will be like, okay, I'm just gonna like spend all my time like just like being like, vote for me. Hey you, I met you a few years ago, vote for me. Like, I've never really I don't even think I've ever entered a competition, but it's made me think like, maybe we should enter more competitions. There's like all these really cool competitions out there to like just do cool things, get to cool play. The world of competitions is not my. I've just never really engaged with it.
Exactly. I did want to ask you about sort of like promoting yourself and get, you know, when I said about would you like to have more exposure? I did. Maybe we'll talk another time about about that for you, because I have quite good skills in promoting people, not like just naturally. Trying to get people exposure in a good way, because I believe in them. So maybe that's something we can talk about. But I hope that goes well. I'm sure
Thank
we'll get in the top 6. If it gets in the top 6, we'll just go around Brighton.
This is the thing. I think I'm like quite up for like just taking a week off everything and just like being obsessed with it. Because you might as well. Just kind of like might as well really go for it if you do get selected.
You could get BBC Introducing involved and like all those sorts of people.
But so we will release that tune, because simultaneously my friend took these pictures of me after this Resonators show. Had this random show for the festival at the Old Market, and I was like wearing all green, and she says we just did this stupid photo shoot. I always end up doing stupid photo shoots with friends, like, you know, like not real ones, just like exactly. So we ended up doing that, but I'm wearing all green, so I think we're gonna like get some artwork out of that and release it, because we might as well, and because the Rose Hills starting a new label. So there'll be like a Rose Hill label, and so to release it on that.
Cool.
Thinking like at some point.
Brilliant.
So,
that's amazing. So people should definitely check out your live shows. It's the best live thing I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you so much.
Captivating live music of all time, and you do have albums as well people can buy. Of course. To support you and basically have you making more live shows. Great, well thank you very much for talking to me today. It's been amazing.
It's been really cool. Thank you.
Oh, she's so lovely. What an amazing person, and an incredible live performer. Someone that you really have to see live to sort of get and understand and feel. Amazing artist. Check her out. Go and see a live show. And if you're ever down in Brighton, do go down to the Rose Hill, which always has amazing music events on. Okay, next month we're talking to a singer-songwriter who's had some tremendous success over the years. He's a super talented guy with an incredibly soulful and expressive voice. So that's coming up next month. Thank you very much for listening. It's always a pleasure. I am midierror. This is midierror Meets. I just knocked the microphone, but it's okay. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again soon.